Hey y'all, welcome back to Cajun Country Living.
Today we're over here at my mom and dad's house and we're going to be replacing their sidewalk.
Now this has been one of our top maybe 3 requested drop pours, and we are so excited to be showing you all this because not only is it going to be a sidewalk, but it's also going to be butting up to the side of the existing slab. So there's going to be 2 different things that we're going to be showing y'all that we're going to be doing today.
And to top it all off, the cherry on this is it's extremely windy. I don't know if you can see this or not, but huge wind gusts. So we get a lot of these questions about, hey, can you do a whole sidewalk? Do you have to do it in sections? Can you pour it all at one time? Can you dry pour in the wind? So we're going to try to cover all of that today, it looks like.
Yeah, we're going to be answering all those questions. A lot of things that y'all always ask us, we're going to try to hit on in this video as well. So y'all make sure to stay tuned. We're going to start working on this sidewalk and give y'all a little update of how we got to this point.
This existing sidewalk has been here for decades. My Uncle Will actually poured each one of these pavers by hand. But over the years, these pavers do what they do. They settle and shift over time, which has made this sidewalk a tripping hazard to say the least. Now I have to say, removing this sidewalk is bittersweet to me because these pavers has been here my whole life. I walked and played on these things for many, many years. But hey, not all change is bad, and as you can see, it was definitely time for an upgrade.
We aligned this first string straight with the porch to make sure that the sidewalk would be perfectly straight. Then we measured over 3 feet to set our next string.
We painted the ground where these string lines are as a reference because we're going to be taking down these strings while we're digging out some of this grass, and that way we'll know where to stop digging. We actually had to dig down more than we initially planned because the elevation directly in front of this porch is much higher than the rest of the surrounding yard.
Now it's time to put our foreman boards together and get them straight with our string line.
This area here used to always accumulate water on the east side of the existing sidewalk every time it rained. So we're going to be installing a piece of 2-inch PVC here to allow the water to flow underneath this new sidewalk. Now this sidewalk is a 75 by 3 foot sidewalk. We get this an awful lot. It's like, what do you put on your forming boards as a release agent to pull the forming boards off? The answer is nothing. It is just a board. It's got nothing on it and it will come right off. It doesn't stick. It don't even try to stick. They just come off with ease. A couple of other really common things is why don't you put plastic down and where is your rock? You don't have any rock. Well, the first thing is we do put plastic under anything that we're going to be building a structure on top of, because the concrete is porous. We talk about this all the time, and the moisture will absorb up through the concrete. You don't want that coming up inside your building. That's the reason you put the plastic underneath it and you pour the concrete on top of it. That plastic keeps the moisture from coming up in the slab. This slab is outside. It's going to get rained on. It's going to have the moisture out of the air in it. There is absolutely no reason, unless you just want to put it, to put it. And the next thing is let's put a bunch of rock in here and then beat it down into the dirt and then pour concrete on top of it. Now, if you want to do that, that's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, but the way I view that is that if you put rock on top of the dirt that you're going to pour the concrete on anyway, you're going to have the same result. So this is just the way we do it. And to date, we have poured a lot of these things and we have had no issues.
Heck, we even poured that one with the grass still there.
Oh yeah. And that's something that we do also. Now that's, if you're going to put something that's going to hold a little bit of a load, you want to get rid of some of the topsoil and try to get down to a hard compactable soil. But just walking on it, no, we're golden. Now another thing that we're not going to do on this sidewalk is put any kind of steel reinforcement in. That's rebar, high tensile wire, anything to that sort. And the reason is this is only going to fill foot traffic. You can put it in here by all means if you'd like to, but for this we don't feel like it's needed, so we're not going to do it because it's not going to fill any kind of weight load like vehicle traffic or any type of significant weight. Oh, these are light bags though.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. These only weigh 80 pounds. Now Lydia's poured out the first bag, and I know you've seen at this point that we don't have any kind of a respirator on, any kind of dust mask, any of that kind of stuff. We would highly recommend that if you do this, you wear a dust mask. We're not going to do it because the wind is blowing like a hurricane in that direction, and we're going to be working on this side, and it's going to take that dust away from us. It's all personal preference, but we're just not going to wear one today.
I don't think that we have found like dumping it all out and then spreading it works better, or if you spread it as you go. I think it's all just about personal preference. Today we're just going to be dumping out a few bags, spreading it, but I don't think we're going to screed until a little bit later on. But that's just kind of what we're going to be doing today. It probably depends on your project as well, because I know sometimes you can't have access to like the back section or something, but today we don't have that problem.
Now I feel like this is a golden opportunity too to say something about the type of mix that we use. We still get that question a lot. And to answer that question, the type of concrete that we use is whatever is at the big box store and whatever is cheapest. We've used almost every brand at this point, and you get the same result. The only thing that we've found really in any of these mixes that vary a little bit is the color of the product itself. Some are a little grayer than others. Some end up curing a little more on the tan side. That's the only difference.
Oh, 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 oh. Need a refund on that bag. So on this end of our sidewalk, we have a board right here, and it is going to come to an abrupt stop like you see most sidewalks have. But on the other end, we're gonna do more of a taper off because it just needs to taper off and match up to the end of the road. So that's gonna be two different ways that we're gonna be doing it in this video in particular. So y'all are gonna be able to see the way that both of them turn out. So now we've got about 15, 20-ish feet of the concrete poured out into our forms. So what we're gonna do now is go ahead and start screeding. As you can see, Jim already is back here ready with our board. So we're gonna show you all that process. And the reason that we're gonna go ahead and do that and not wait till the end is because if we have a bunch of buildup, then we're not gonna have to get buckets and dump it out elsewhere. Or if we need to add some, we can go ahead and do that while we're here.
Now, one thing to note here is that we're using a 2x4 on its edge to screed with. The actual width of it is 1 5/8 inches. We found that everything that we have used to screed with, this definitely works the best.
This sawing action that you see is making the rock in the concrete mix sink, leaving the powder on the top for the finishing process.
It's always so satisfying for me when it comes time to use this edger. It really begins to take shape during this process.
We use a dry paint roller to finish the dry pour concrete. And yes, I did say dry paint roller. Make sure not to wet it at this step. It does an amazing job smoothing the finishing surface of the actual concrete. And that is why we've always said anybody can do this, because not many people know how to finish wet mixed concrete to make it look good, but almost everybody can and has used a paint roller, and using this is so simple and the results are unbelievable.
We dug down about 3 inches at the very edge of this ramp here. We wanted to make sure it was thick enough on the edge so it wouldn't crack or chip in the future. Now it's time to begin the watering sequence. I have the garden nozzle set to mist. Now it's very important to only darken the powder. You don't want to get too much water at this stage. Remember, this is a dry pour, and less is always more in this situation. If you notice, my nozzle's dripping water, so I'm making sure to stand back so that that's not dripping onto my concrete. I'm on the second misting phase now. We're not going to go into great detail about the watering schedule here, but we will put up a dry pour watering guide right here for y'all to screenshot. If you'd like to see the watering process in great detail, we have other videos where we go into a lot of detail. We've waited a total of 3 days to pull the forms off of this concrete slab. While we were waiting,
We got 6.5 inches of rain during those 3 days. We would have actually pulled these forms a lot sooner, but being that we had that 6.5 inches of rain, we really don't want to get out here and wade in the actual standing water that was surrounding this concrete.
so like we discussed whenever we started this, whenever we began pouring this, we had a lot of wind. It was really not a great situation to be dry pouring, you would think. Followed by that, I mean, like immediately, like at the end of the watering cycle, we started getting rain and lots of it. So this sidewalk met some of probably the worst actual pouring conditions that you could probably get. But man, it turned out fantastic.
I think that we're all extremely happy with the way that it came out, and we're so excited to show y'all. We're excited to get down here, start pulling these forms, hoe up around here, and then it'll be done.
But before we get to yanking these forming boards off and taking a look at the side of this slab and what we hope is going to be perfect, but who knows, this whole project, now this sidewalk was about 3¼ inches thick on average. It was 75 feet long and 3 feet wide. The total cost was $587.84.
For 70 feet does not seem that long, but whenever you add the 3 foot that we did it really adds up, y'all. So 225 square feet. That's really not a bad price for concrete.
I didn't think so either. It would be hard to get a professional to come do this at your home for that.
Absolutely.
Now in that total cost, that's the cost of the actual 80-pound bag from the local big box store and the lumber that we used. So that's not leaving anything out. The only thing that we didn't include were the taxes, because the taxes vary from wherever you're watching this thing from.
One of the best things about this dry pour is if you were doing this at home and you were following the way that we did this dry pour, you don't have to make it 3.5 inches. We were just making it level with the porch that was already existing. That way there wasn't a step down. A normal sidewalk is typically not even this thick whenever you wet pour.
But as of this point, y'all seen what we did. We poured it all at one time. One of the questions we get asked a lot is it better to do this all at one time or in sections? We kicked the thought around of pouring it in 10-foot sections till we got it done, but we just really wanted to knock it out. But if you want to do that, it is totally fine to just pour it a section at a time, and it'll turn out just like what we have here.
We actually have some people that sent us some pictures of their driveway that they did, and they did it in sections. They love to share their dry pour. They're in a cold climate. They're in an area that they have a full 4 seasons, and they still did this, and they drive their car on it every single day. So I'm going to be posting those pictures right here. And y'all, this is just such a great option for people who don't have the capability to have people come to their house, or a project that's somewhere where it's wet and you can't even get a truck in. Or even like a small backyard where you can't haul a big load of concrete at one time.
You know, a couple years ago, whenever me and Lydia decided to put our method that we have perfected out to the world and share it with everybody, the whole thought process behind doing that was to give somebody the opportunity to have a nice sidewalk, to have a wheelchair ramp, or just to have anything that you wanted, you know, small project, whatever the project may be. You could actually do it yourself for pennies on the dollar compared to what a contractor would cost you. And we think that it is incredibly cool that those videos have gone viral, and we have had so many people making videos, posting on YouTube, most of them really trying to do our process, because this is so easy to do and there is so much of a beneficial gain that why wouldn't you, right? Another thing is we have people from all over the globe have sent us emails and photos of the projects that they've done. Some of them in arid, dry climates, some of them in extremely cold weather, nasty conditions. And they give us updates, and I think that part is so cool. They'll show us the project. Hey, we did this project. Thank y'all so much. We would never been able to get this accomplished due to financial reasons, due to where we live geographically. It's just not feasible to get a concrete truck in here. And it's projects like this that just bring me back and make me so humbled by that. And we're so thankful that we are able to share this process that took us years to perfect and be able to share it with everybody.